Have you ever looked at your life and thought, "Why me? Why this pain? Why now?" Maybe you've cried in silence. Maybe no one knows what you're carrying deep inside. The disappointment, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the unanswered prayers, the loneliness, the inner battles you can't explain. You try to smile in front of others, but behind closed doors, you're falling apart. You ask God, "Where are you in all this?" But today, I want you to hear something loud and clear. God sees your pain. He feels your tears. And He will not waste one drop of it. Your pain has a purpose. Even when you can't understand the reason behind your suffering, God is working. You may not see the plan, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. In fact, some of the greatest purposes God births in us come from our deepest wounds. That broken season? That painful loss? That unfair rejection? That crushing failure? God can take all of it and shape it into something beautiful, something powerful, something eternal. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Pain refines us. It removes pride. It teaches us compassion. It deepens our reliance on God. When we suffer, we discover who we truly are and who God truly is. Sometimes it takes pain to open our eyes to what we couldn't see in comfort. Sometimes God allows what He hates to accomplish what He loves, a heart fully surrendered to Him. Think of Joseph in the Bible. Betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. For 13 years, it seemed like his life was only spiraling down. But behind every injustice, God was writing a story. When the time was right, Joseph became the second most powerful man in Egypt. And not for his own glory, but to save many lives during a famine. What his brothers meant for evil, God meant for good. That's what God does. He redeems pain. Think of Job. He lost everything, his wealth, his health, his family. And yet, even in the ashes of his sorrow, he held on to God. "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him," Job said. And in the end, God restored Job's life with even more than he had before. Not because Job was perfect, but because he remained faithful. Think of Jesus. The Son of God, beaten, mocked, crucified. The cross was the ultimate pain. But from that cross came the greatest purpose, salvation for the entire world. If God allowed His own Son to suffer for a greater glory, then don't you think your suffering also holds a purpose? You see, pain is not the end of your story. It's the process. It's the fire that molds you. The valley that teaches you to walk by faith. The storm that drives you to your knees. And it's in that place, that low, quiet, tear-filled place, that you meet God in the most intimate way. He's not distant from your pain. He's present in it. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That's not just a verse. It's a promise. He is close to you right now. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. Your tears matter to Him. Every sleepless night. Every silent cry. Every moment you wanted to give up but chose to hold on, it matters to God. And I want you to understand this. Just because your pain is deep doesn't mean your purpose is lost. In fact, your purpose is often found in the very place you were wounded. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who have suffered the most, not because they're perfect, but because they allowed God to transform their pain into purpose. Maybe God is using your heartbreak to give you a heart for others. Maybe He's using your loss to show you what truly matters. Maybe He's using your failure to build a new foundation. Maybe He's allowing you to be broken so you can help others heal. There's someone out there who needs your story, your testimony, your scars. They are not a sign of shame. They are proof that God is a healer. When you open your mouth and share how God carried you through the fire, you give hope to someone else still walking through it. This is how pain becomes purpose, when it's handed over to God. But let's be honest, the process isn't easy. Sometimes it feels like God is silent. Like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. Like things are getting worse instead of better. But don't confuse God's silence with His absence. He may be quiet, but He's still working. Sometimes the teacher is silent during the test, but He's still in the room. God knows what He's doing. He sees the full picture. You only see a piece of the puzzle. So don't quit in the middle of the story. Don't walk away while God is still writing. The same pen that allowed the pain will also draw the breakthrough. Your scars will sing one day. Your wounds will worship. Your pain will become someone's hope. But you must surrender it to God. Give Him your brokenness, your confusion, your anger, your questions. He can handle it all. And in return, He will give you peace, healing, joy, and a testimony. There will come a day when you'll look back and thank God not just for the blessing, but for the burden. Because it shaped you. It grew you. It brought you closer to Him. And it revealed a strength you didn't know you had. God will never waste your pain. He is the God who makes beauty from ashes. He restores what was lost. He redeems what was broken. He turns mourning into dancing, sorrow into joy, trials into triumph. Trust Him with your tears. Trust Him with your past. Trust Him with your future. You may not be where you want to be. You may not understand why things happened the way they did. But if you're still breathing, God is not done with you. He is still working, still healing, still shaping you into the person He created you to be. So don't give up. Don't let pain define you. Let it refine you. Let it bring you to your knees, not to despair, but to surrender. Tell God, I don't get it, but I trust you. That's faith. That's obedience. And that's the beginning of purpose. Even in your lowest moment, you are being held. Even in your darkest night, there's a light ahead. Even when everything falls apart, God is still holding the pieces. The enemy thought your pain would destroy you. But God is using it to develop you. The enemy thought your tears meant defeat. But God is bottling them in heaven and preparing a victory. The enemy tried to silence your praise. But your worship will rise from the ashes. You are not a victim of pain. You are a vessel of purpose. Don't waste your suffering. Use it. Let it fuel your calling. Let it teach you to love deeper, speak kinder, pray harder, and live bolder. You've been through too much to stay silent. Let your life shout of God's faithfulness. This is not the end. This is the turning point. Your pain will not have the final say, God will. And He says, I'm not finished with you. I'm just getting started. He says, what you thought was the end is the beginning of something new. He says, I will use every tear to water the seeds of your future. So lift your head. Take a deep breath. And walk forward in faith. Because your pain, yes, your very pain, is about to become your platform. You were wounded, but you will be used. You were crushed, but you will be crowned. You were broken, but you will be built again. Because the God who allowed the pain is the same God who will turn it into your greatest purpose. Believe it, receive it, and walk in it. And maybe right now, you feel like you're still stuck in that pain. Maybe you're still in the waiting season, still in the heartbreak, still in the confusion. But listen closely, this delay is not denial. This silence is not abandonment. This pain is not punishment. It is a doorway. A passage. A process that God is using to birth something greater inside you than you could ever imagine. Have you noticed how the most powerful testimonies come from the deepest struggles? How the strongest trees grow in the toughest soil? How diamonds are formed under pressure and gold is refined in fire? You too are being shaped, formed, strengthened. The pain you are in right now may be preparing you to carry what you once prayed for. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And sometimes, your greatest qualification is what you've endured, not what you've achieved. That failure? That's fuel. That loss? That's leverage. That wound? That's wisdom. Nothing you've gone through will be wasted in the hands of God. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to say, yes, Lord. Use this. You don't need to pretend it didn't hurt. God doesn't need fake strength, He uses real surrender. And the moment you say, "Even if I don't understand, I'll still trust you," something shifts in the atmosphere. That's when healing begins. That's when purpose awakens. That's when heaven starts to move. You were never meant to carry this pain alone. Jesus already bore your burdens on the cross. And because He suffered, He understands. You're not praying to a God who is distant from suffering, you're praying to a Savior who bled, who wept, who was betrayed, who was crushed. So when you cry out in your weakness, He doesn't just hear, He feels. And in your weakness, His strength is made perfect. You may not feel strong, but you're standing. You may not have all the answers, but you're still asking God. And that's faith, raw, honest, beautiful faith. Heaven sees it. Hell fears it. And God honors it. So don't curse your pain. Don't bury it in shame. Let it rise up as a song, a story, a calling. What once wounded you will soon become your weapon. And what once made you question your worth will now be the reason others see God's worth through you. You are chosen. Not because you are flawless, but because you are willing. You are loved. Not because you never fell, but because you always came back to God. You are anointed. Not because you never cried, but because you cried out to Jesus. Your pain has not disqualified you. It has positioned you. So step into your purpose. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with shame, but with boldness. You have walked through the valley, and now God is preparing a table for you, right in front of your enemies. The very people who saw you broken will now witness your breakthrough. The very situations that made you want to give up will become the stage where God shows up. This is your season of restoration, of redemption, of revival. God is rebuilding what you lost. He is renewing what was drained. He is reviving what was dead. He is restoring your soul, piece by piece. And one day, you will look back and see that every tear had a timeline. Every hurt had a healing. Every breakdown had a breakthrough. And every pain had a purpose. Don't you dare stop now. You've come too far to quit. God has invested too much in you. You are not just a survivor. You are a sign that God still moves, still heals, still delivers, and still fulfills His promises. So stand tall. Even if your knees are shaking. Speak life. Even if your voice trembles. Keep going. Even if it's in small steps. Because with every step, you are walking in purpose. You are walking in victory. You are walking with God. Let your scars remind you of His faithfulness. Let your wounds become your witness. Let your journey shine light for someone else in darkness. You're not just healing, you're helping. You're not just recovering, you're revealing the goodness of God. Because in the end, it was never just about your pain. It was always about His purpose. And that purpose is just beginning.